The Galactic Empire, under Emperor Palpatine's rule, was a regime built upon the principles of absolute power, domination, and fear. Central to its military might was the vast Stormtrooper Corps, a symbol of its unrelenting control over the galaxy. These soldiers, while numerous and well-equipped, were not known for exceptional skill or individuality. However, the hypothetical scenario of the Empire creating a cadre of super soldiers from Fett clones would have represented a significant shift in its operational doctrine and ambitions, fundamentally altering the balance of power in the galaxy. Jango Fett's clones, the basis of the Republic's Grand Army, were genetically engineered to be efficient, disciplined, and loyal. Even with their modifications to ensure obedience and accelerated growth, their combat prowess stemmed directly from Fett's own skill and genetic material. If the Empire had chosen to enhance this template further, pushing the boundaries of science and ethics, the results could have been staggering. Such super soldiers would not only exceed the capabilities of the Republic's original clone army, but would also surpass most known species or entities in the galaxy in terms of physical strength, mental acuity, and combat effectiveness. The creation of super soldiers from Fett's genetic stock would require advanced genetic engineering, a field in which the Empire, given its resources and ruthlessness, was likely already proficient. By enhancing the clone's physical attributes, strength, speed, reflexes, and durability, these soldiers could become virtually unstoppable on the battlefield. Imagine a battalion capable of tearing through enemy forces with precision and resilience, each soldier a walking weapon. This alone would have cemented the Empire's grip over rebellious systems, leaving little room for organized resistance. But the physical enhancements would only be one facet of this endeavor. The Empire, always seeking to eliminate dissent and ensure absolute control, would likely program these super soldiers with unwavering loyalty to Palpatine and his regime. Unlike the Stormtroopers, who were susceptible to morale issues and occasional insubordination, these clones could be engineered to lack fear, doubt, or hesitation. This level of obedience would make them not only ideal soldiers but also enforcers of the Emperor's will, capable of carrying out any order without question, no matter how brutal or morally reprehensible. Yet, this hypothetical scenario raises complex questions about the role of individuality and autonomy within the clones. In the Republic's era, certain Fett clones like Captain Rex or Commander Cody developed distinct personalities despite their shared origins, which was partly due to their interactions with Jedi generals and their own experiences. Would the Empire allow for such individuality in its super soldiers, or would it seek to suppress it entirely? While absolute conformity might seem advantageous for control, it could also limit creativity and adaptability on the battlefield, traits that Jango Fett himself possessed in abundance. The introduction of force sensitivity to these clones could elevate this hypothetical scenario to an entirely new level. If the Empire managed to incorporate midichlorian manipulation into the cloning process, it could produce super soldiers capable of wielding the Force. These force-wielding super soldiers would be devastatingly effective, combining physical and mental enhancements with the supernatural abilities of the Jedi and Sith. However, this would not be without its risks. Force sensitivity often brings with it a heightened sense of self-awareness and emotions, potentially making such clones harder to control. The Empire, particularly Palpatine, would need to tread carefully to avoid inadvertently creating powerful beings capable of challenging his authority. The tactical applications of these super soldiers would be nearly limitless. On the battlefield, they could serve as shock troops, leading assaults against heavily fortified positions with minimal support. Their presence would demoralize enemies and inspire fear, becoming symbols of the Empire's invincibility. Beyond combat, they could be used as assassins, hunting down high-value targets with lethal efficiency, or as elite guards, protecting the Emperor and other key figures from any threats. Their versatility would make them an indispensable asset in maintaining the Empire's dominance across the galaxy. However, the creation of such beings would not come without challenges. The scientific and logistical demands of engineering super soldiers would be immense. While Kaminoan cloners had perfected the art of creating Fett clones, the modifications necessary to enhance these soldiers would likely require significant trial and error, with a high risk of failure. Ethical considerations, while irrelevant to the Empire, could still create friction with certain factions or collaborators, such as the Kaminoans themselves, who might resist such extreme genetic tampering. Moreover, the political implications of deploying super soldiers would be profound. The existence of a superior class of warriors could destabilize the Empire's internal power structure, creating resentment or fear among non-clone officers and soldiers. Traditional stormtroopers, already considered expendable by the Empire, might feel further devalued, leading to unrest within the ranks. Even high-ranking officials like Grand Moff Tarkin could view these enhanced clones as a potential threat to their own authority, especially if they perceive them as loyal only to Palpatine. Rebellion against the Empire, already a growing concern during the Galactic Civil War, would likely intensify in response to the deployment of super soldiers. While these enhanced clones would be effective at quelling dissent, their existence would also galvanize opposition, as fear often breeds resistance. Rebel leaders like Mon Mothma and Bail Organa might accelerate their efforts to unite disparate factions, viewing the super soldiers as a sign that the Empire was escalating its tyranny to unprecedented levels. The Jedi, if any had survived the Empire's initial purge, would undoubtedly recognize the threat posed by such soldiers. A confrontation between a Force-sensitive super soldier and a Jedi Knight would be a spectacle of unparalleled intensity, combining raw power with refined skill. However, the Jedi's principles and reliance on the Force might still give them an edge, as the super soldiers, no matter how advanced, would lack the spiritual and philosophical grounding that defines a true Jedi or Sith. The Galactic Empire's relentless pursuit of domination often led it to explore the limits of science, technology, and dark side manipulation. If it had chosen to develop super soldiers from Jango Fett's genetic stock, the implications for the galaxy would have been profound. Fett's clones, already bred to be among the most capable warriors in the galaxy, represented an unparalleled foundation for enhancement. The Empire, with its resources and disregard for ethical constraints, could have used Fett's DNA to create soldiers capable of feats far beyond the capabilities of the Republic's original clone army or the standard stormtroopers. These super soldiers, enhanced with genetic engineering and potentially even Force sensitivity, would have been designed to enforce the Emperor's will with absolute precision and effectiveness. The physical attributes of these enhanced clones would surpass anything seen before. Increased strength, speed, reflexes, and endurance would make them formidable opponents in any combat scenario. Their training would likely be as intense and refined as their genetic engineering, blending the expertise of Jango Fett with the technological advancements of the Empire. These soldiers could endure grueling environments, recover from injuries faster than ordinary beings, and wield advanced weaponry with unparalleled skill. Their very presence would inspire fear, as their abilities would seem almost supernatural to those who faced them. The mental conditioning of these clones would be just as crucial. The Empire would not merely settle for physical superiority. It would demand unshakable loyalty and obedience. Through genetic programming and psychological indoctrination, these super soldiers would have no room for doubt or hesitation. They would execute orders with machine-like precision, ensuring the Empire's directives were carried out without question. Unlike stormtroopers, who were often susceptible to morale issues, these enhanced clones would embody the Empire's ideals of control and order. The possibility of integrating Force sensitivity into these clones would elevate them to an entirely new level of power. The manipulation of midichlorians to produce Force-capable beings would be a challenging and dangerous undertaking, but the potential rewards would be immense. Force-sensitive super soldiers would wield abilities such as precognition, telekinesis, and enhanced combat senses, giving them a distinct advantage over any opponent. Their connection to the Force, if carefully controlled, could make them unstoppable enforcers of the Emperor's will. However, Force sensitivity could also introduce unforeseen complications. The emotional and spiritual dimensions of the Force might lead some clones to question their purpose or even rebel against their programming, creating a potential vulnerability in the Empire's plans. The creation and deployment of such soldiers would have immediate and far-reaching consequences. On the battlefield, they would serve as shock troops, capable of overwhelming enemies with their raw power and tactical precision. Their effectiveness would demoralize resistance movements, spreading fear and despair among those who opposed the Empire. In covert operations, they would excel as assassins, eliminating high-value targets with unparalleled efficiency. Their versatility would make them invaluable assets, able to adapt to any mission or environment. However, the implementation of this project would not be without its challenges. The genetic modifications necessary to enhance the clones would require significant scientific expertise and experimentation. Even with the resources of the Empire, the process would likely involve a high rate of failure, as the complex interplay of genetic traits could produce unstable or defective clones. The ethical considerations, though dismissed by the Empire, might still create friction with collaborators such as the Kaminoans, whose cloning expertise would be essential for the project's success. The Kaminoans, known for their pride in their craft, might balk at the extreme modifications required for this endeavor. The political ramifications within the Empire itself would also be significant. The existence of a superior class of soldiers could create tensions among the Imperial military hierarchy. Officers accustomed to commanding stormtroopers might resent or fear these enhanced clones, especially if they were seen as loyal only to Palpatine. The power dynamics within the Empire could shift, as the super soldiers' effectiveness and unwavering obedience made them more reliable than traditional human officers or conscripts. This could lead to internal strife, as factions within the Empire vied for control over these elite troops. The relationship between this project and the shadowy efforts of Project Necromancer adds another layer of complexity. Project Necromancer, centered on Palpatine's resurrection and the perpetuation of Sith rule, would benefit immensely from the advancements made in creating super soldiers. The genetic engineering techniques perfected for the clones could be adapted to design bodies capable of hosting Palpatine's dark-side-infused consciousness. These super soldiers might also serve as guardians of the Emperor's secrets, protecting the laboratories and resources necessary for his return. Their unwavering loyalty and immense power would make them ideal stewards of such sensitive operations. Conversely, the Super Soldier Project could draw resources and attention away from Project Necromancer, creating a potential conflict of priorities within the Empire. Palpatine's ultimate goal of immortality might clash with the more immediate tactical advantages offered by the Super Soldiers. If the resources allocated to developing these enhanced clones delayed or compromised the progress of his resurrection efforts, it could create friction among the Emperor's inner circle. The interplay between these two projects would reflect the broader tension within the Empire's hierarchy, as it sought to balance short-term domination with long-term survival. Despite their immense potential, the super soldiers would also represent a significant risk to the Empire. Their unparalleled power and skill could make them difficult to control, especially if they began to question their purpose or programming. If even a small faction of these enhanced clones defected, they could become a formidable threat to the Empire, using their training and abilities against their creators. The possibility of a super soldier rebellion would be a constant concern, as history had already shown the capacity for Fett clones to resist Imperial control. From the perspective of the galaxy at large, the introduction of super soldiers would likely galvanize resistance movements. The sheer brutality and effectiveness of these clones would reinforce the image of the Empire as an oppressive and inhuman regime, uniting disparate factions in their struggle against it. Rebel leaders would prioritize finding weaknesses in these soldiers, investing heavily in countermeasures to neutralize their advantage. The existence of these enhanced clones would raise the stakes of the galactic civil war, pushing both sides to new extremes in their efforts to prevail.